What's happening, everybody? Let me ask you a question. What happens when you buy a motorcycle? Especially when you buy one in, January, February. What happens? Well, it either snows, ice storms, rains, or turns as cold as it's ever been in the history of wherever it is you live. That's what happens. Or you do like I do, and you throw out your L7, 5, and 3. Yes, I'm having a little bit of a back issue. I'm having all kinds of issues. I've had surgery, I've had back issues, but the weather has been terrible. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to have a little bit, let's say we're going to have sessions. How about that? Now, I've never had sessions of anything, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to have sessions, and we're going to talk about the Royal Enfield Himalayan, or Himalayan. Totally up to you from there. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the visual, because let's admit it, the first thing that attracts you to pretty much anything is what you've seen. Okay, that visual, that thing that jumps out at you and you go, hey. Then you want to know more about it. Well, that's kind of what happened with me when it came to the Royal Enfield. I saw it, I liked the way it looked, and I wanted to know more about it. That's how it all came down. So after tens of thousands of hours of YouTube and lots of great YouTube videos on that machine, I finally decided I wanted to try to find one. Well, as you've seen from the previous video, I had to drive quite a distance in order to find one. But that was fine because I actually got to see one in person. That's the biggest problem. I am one of those people that like to hands-on, I want to see it, I want to feel it, want to knock on it, kick the tires, turn the wheel, stand it up. I want to do that. Trouble that I was having with Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Suzuki, there were only certain bikes out there that you could really walk into a dealership and find. The KLR 650, everywhere you look, okay? The KLX 230, everywhere, okay? Everywhere I went to. The occasional KLX 300, these bikes I could find, okay? They really weren't exactly what I wanted. They didn't have all those little things that I was looking for. Now, the one thing that they had that I really wasn't looking for was the price and the way that it got higher as you went to purchase the bike. And what I mean by that is that Honda, let's just go with Honda for example. Honda appears to be the highest of that grouping, okay? They have a tendency to really put on the shipping fees and the put-togethers and the whatever else fees that you can add to it, and then your $6,000 300L turns into a almost $8,000 300L, and I just couldn't do that. I couldn't see that. Not for what I wanted to do. Okay, so I started looking at the Royal Enfield, and the Royal Enfield is kind of one of those underdogs, which we all know. I am that guy from the Honda Monkey. We all know I love the underdog, the almost can do it. That's me. I love that. For what I wanted to do, to be able to take some longer trips, to put a little bit more weight on the machine, and be able to run at least 60-65 miles per hour without getting crushed. The Monkey is all about a good time. That's what that thing is about. Hop on it, get on it, go for a ride. The Beach Boys did a little song about, little Honda, and it hasn't changed since they wrote that song. It's still the same way. The little Honda gets you out there and you have a great time on it, and you buzz around town, and you take some back roads and you go across the railroad tracks. That's what the Monkey does. So I am not replacing my Monkey by any means, okay? What I am doing is taking something that's more capable to do the things that I'm actually wanting to get away from here and do. To be able to get on that bike and go 200, 300, 400 miles and not run 45 miles per hour the whole way, loaded down with a bunch of camping and fishing equipment. I mean, we're talking 125cc 9 horsepower. You're really, you know, you're torturing the little machine. And I feel terrible when I do that. I mean, I'm only 165 pounds, but you weigh it down and it just struggles. It struggles. And I love to ride the thing. So I wanted to look for something to, and I hate this word, but I'm going to use it. Adventure. I wanted to get out and see some things, sightsee, drive some distances. The Monkey has a 1.5 gallon tank, okay? So you really got to carry some spare gas with you just in case you get in between stations. The Royal Enfield has a 4-gallon tank. So there's another thing, you know, and it can run about, depending on who you watch and what kind of riding you do, rounding it off 70, 75 miles per tank, which is a 4-gallon tank. So you can hit about 300 miles if you're lucky and you're not really in the gas the whole way and running 70 miles an hour. So it's a visual thing. When I first saw the Royal Enfield, there was a look about that bike that said something to me, that reminded me of something. And what it reminds me of is something that you would probably see like in 1972 doing the Baja 1000 or something like that. It just has that look from afar when you first see it. That's what you see. If you really, to me, and this is just my personal opinion, if you really want to compare it to something, I compare it to the Jeeps of like the 60s and 70s. Maybe even into the early 80s when Jeep was still a Jeep. Well, that's kind of what I feel about the Royal Enfield Himalayan. It's almost a tool to get the job done. Kind of like a Jeep. When you bought a Jeep back in the, say, 1977, okay, you had heat, maybe a 4-cylinder, maybe a 6-cylinder, maybe a 304 V8, whatever. But they were not luxury automobiles, okay? They were a tool to get the job done. It was a strong, powerful, even though it wasn't going to take you 115 miles per hour, it was something to get the job done and get you where you wanted to go. Okay, well that's kind of the way I feel about the Royal Enfield, with the exception of some modernization. Fuel injection, what else? Fuel injection, ABS braking system that you can cut on and off. A little bit better gauges, gas gauge. They even have a tripper system now that goes on that you can hook to your telephone, and it's like a GPS, gives you the turn-by-turn kind of thing. So if you took a Jeep and kind of modernized it slightly, just slightly, that's kind of what the Royal Enfield Himalayan bike is to me. So what we're going to do, that whole visual thing, we're going to step out into the garage and we're going to talk about the visual, that thing that draws you in and makes you want to look at it. Even you may not even care about it, but you see it and you all of a sudden have that little And that's all it takes. Because the next thing you know, you're sitting in front of the TV for hours on end, watching people change oil, change shocks, change windows, adjust valves, cruise off through the mountains of Utah, Colorado. I'm not kidding. That's what I did. So let's go out there in the garage and let's take a look at this machine, the visual, and this will be the first session. This will be the first one because I haven't ridden it yet, really. I rode it around the backyard because honestly my back hurts too bad to throw my leg over the seat, which is really, there's a word, and there's probably several, but I'm not going to use them. But it's not fun to know that that thing's sitting out there in the garage and there's nothing you can do about it. Plus the weather's been terrible, as I said before. So let's step outside, take a look at this thing, and we'll take the first session, the visual of the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Anyway, let's go out there. So here we are down in the floor, which is going to be fun for me to get back up out of. Anyway, this is the first thing you see. This look of this bike, the the already there kind of crash bar slash rugged look of a bike that's about to go possibly across country or off road. Well, they come with this. Actually, they make brackets that you can put on here for holding gas tanks and other bags and things like that. That's kind of the first stuff that you first see, because you imagine if this wasn't here, you know, you'd just be seeing gas tank and that kind of thing. So the first thing I noticed really was this, and I don't know why that was, but that was the first thing I was drawn to, and the fact that the tank has this indentation here that's very reminiscent of a, oh, I don't know, like a Triumph or a BSA or something where you put your knees, where they also make pads, you know, that go here, so your legs, you can hug the thing when you're standing up and you got your legs, you know, in between or your knees on the tank there. So I saw that, I saw this, and I went, wow, that's kind of already there. When you look at the engine of this bike, okay, this is not as refined as, say, Honda, okay? This is a very cast, solid, and you can tell it's powder coated. It's got cast mold, you know. You can see some of the little scratches and dings and nicks, like in the fins of the jug, the cooling fins and stuff like that. So you get the idea that it's a very utility, almost a utility oriented style bike, like the military would have made. Something that was strong, heavy, like a Jeep, and would have done the job. That's the first initial presence that I get from looking at this thing. Now when I say things, you know, is not as refined, what I mean is like welds, for example, okay? I have looked at this weld here in particular on, say 6 different bikes. They had several at the store where I bought this one at. Every one of these welds right here were different. Every one of them. Some of them cleaner than others. Some of them, you know, it was like the guy might have been eating a cheeseburger and welding at the same time, you know, whatever. But that doesn't take away from it having strength. It is strong, it's powder coated, the welds aren't as refined as a Honda or a Kawasaki or a Harley Davidson or something like that, you know, which still gives you that meat and potatoes feel with this thing, where it's made to do a job. This is one of those bikes that if you're going down the road on it, which is comfortable supposedly, we're going to find all that out, that'll be session 2, and you see something that resembles a road or might have been a road at one time, you have the ability to take a turn and go down there. This thing will do that. That's what it's about. Also at an economical price that you can afford. There are things on this bike, there are additions, there are add-ons, which if you go on YouTube, man, people add to this thing left and right. You got panniers and brackets and baggage, suitcase, you know, it's just amazing the stuff that you can get for this bike. Not again that you can't get that for any bike. Now, for example, the Monkey. You can't get that kind of stuff for the Monkey. You almost have to fabricate things for that to work with the Monkey. Where the CT125, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that stuff out there. But for this thing, man, the possibilities are endless when it comes to finding aftermarket stuff for this bike. The distance, you see, massive distance here between the back fender and the tire. So you got a lot of room, especially if you're somebody like myself who's, you know, like I said, I'm 165 pounds, and I'm going to put some stuff on this thing, so I need this. This was another view that I actually liked, because I really enjoy the way this dashboard looks. It has a cool look to it. At first I didn't know that I would, but the more I stared at it, and the more I saw where everything was, I kind of like it. Now, you got some buttons and stuff here that are going to be just a little bit weird to get things to learn, to figure out where everything's at. And basically, you know, in this little digital board over here that's going to tell you all kinds of things. And you got a tachometer, you got a gas gauge, you got your speedometer, and over here you have a little... Now this is all stuff that's going to come up in the second session, but this is your little trip meter that's kind of a connects into your telephone as a let's say a GPS turn by turn kind of thing, that you don't have to have your phone mounted up here on the actual bike. Some people have lost telephones, they fly off, you lose them, whatever. You can put your phone in your pocket, and this over here, right there, Royal Enfield Tripper, that thing will pick up from your telephone and tell you turn right, turn left, go straight, whatever. It's really all you need, actually. But I'm still going to mount mine here where I can see it. I'm a very visual individual. I like to see things. Another thing that I was happy to see was the big 21-inch front wheel. When I saw that, I knew then, as soon as I seen it, I knew it was a 21. I've had other bikes with 21-inch front wheels, and when I saw this, I'm like, wow, that's going to be nice. That's going to roll over a lot of stuff and help me out when I do go off-road. It also comes with a skid plate. Now, is it the most high dollar, made out of titanium space shuttle material skid plate on the market? No, it is not, but at least it has one. I don't have to add it. It's there. You know what I'm saying? And one of the other things I liked about it was it came in blue and white like the Monkey. It also comes with the secondary kickstand. So you can stand the thing right straight up when you're doing oil changes or having to take the back tire off to adjust the chain or whatever. You know, it comes with this, okay? Didn't have to buy a separate stand or jack or anything like that. So all in all, with everything that you get for the price that you pay, it's a very well-rounded bike. Now, there are people out there that say that they have issues with it, and then there's some people that never have one whatsoever. Okay, you know, Honda, Suzuki, Kawasaki, Yamaha, KTM, you know, all those guys. I've heard tell of issues with them too, but the thing that I'm getting here, the point I'm getting at is with visually, with what I saw, that I was getting for the price I was paying, it was well worth it to go with the Royal Enfield than it was to wait for a Honda that I wanted. I wanted a Rally. I was looking for a 300L Rally, and you just can't get them. They're impossible. You go to every dealership, and believe me, I've gone to every one that I possibly can go to. Nobody gets anything in, and when it does come in, it's already spoken for because people are putting money down on them. The bike comes in, they put it together, it's gone out the door the next day. I just couldn't see waiting around. So that's why, after the homework, and after watching video after video after video, and finally getting to see one of these, I made my mind up I was going with the Royal Enfield. So, that being said, that is the visual aspect of this bike, okay? This is a bike like the Monkey that kind of takes you back to a different time. It feels very utility, almost military-ish, but strong and able, if that makes any sense to anybody out there. It seems like this is a road bike that's made to go off-road, where say a Honda Rally, a 300L or whatever, is more of a dirt bike that's made to go on-road. If that makes sense. I hope that does make sense. Give me a comment, let me know what you think, but I think that these are the two best bikes for what I'm trying to accomplish. They may not be perfect for everybody. This may definitely not be what's right for you, but it is for me, and I just thought that I would give this little video to say, hey, here's session one, the visual. That is the very first thing. It attracts you. The look makes you want to know more. I wanted to know more. Now I got one. Second session will be the ride, and it's going to be on the road first, so it'll be, you know, session 2, roadworthy. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you got something out of this, and I'll be seeing you on the next go-round. Now, if I can just get out of this floor. Age. I got it. I'm good. I'm good. I'm fine. Okay, here we go. Help me up. Help me up, Harry. Here we go.